Gemstones Miners and Marketers Association of Nigeria, which we fondly call Gmman. And this webinar is going to be speaking about the impact of the COVID-19 on the gem and jewelry industry in Nigeria. My name is Professor Adesoji Adesuba. I'm the National Coordinator of Gmman. And with me in the house is Mrs. Jumai Oluyede, who is the Deputy National Coordinator of Gmman. And of course, I can see we have many of our members, the Gems of Nigeria. We have many of our members online. You're all most welcome. I shall be moderating this session, and Jumai will assist me during the roundup to end the session. So I'm sure you are going to have a wonderful time with our panelists. But before we start, let me tell you a little bit about Gmman. The Gemstones Miners and Marketers Association of Nigeria, Gmman, is a membership organization which is to bring together miners, marketers, jewelers, and all the stakeholders in this gem and jewelry sector of the Nigerian economy for the main purpose of developing that sector. The association is involved in policy advocacy, capacity development, information exchange, and networking. We also encourage our members to trade among themselves under strict rules, fair trading. And very soon we intend to partner with the Gemological Institute of Nigeria, which is a sister organization, to also do some research in the gems and jewelry business for the benefit of all stakeholders. Gmman is in partnership with some organizations in Nigeria, with the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, with NASIMA, and also the miners, the Chamber of Mines, Nigerian Chamber of Mines. And this gives us a very important synergy to be able to achieve our goal. Today, I'm really delighted to welcome you all to the first in the series of Gmman webinars. That's the new norm. Everybody seems to be getting across with each other through the use of online tools such as Zoom, WebEx, and so on. So we will not be left out. I think it's a clarion call for us to be able to now really connect. We've not been able to do that physically, but now we can see the whole world is connected, and we too will not be left out. So we are all in one way or the other affected by the reason for these connections, and that's the COVID-19 pandemic, which has greatly destabilized global supply chains, and world economies are on their knees since December 2019, when it was discovered in Wuhan, China. The coronavirus, as it's also called, has affected over 3.6 million people, and over 251,000 deaths have been recorded. I'm sure some of us have been affected one way or the other, and this has necessitated in countries shutting down their borders while their citizens are subjected to various forms of lockdown and social distancing orders. This has greatly affected commerce and the global supply chain. Of course, one of the first casualties of the pandemic is a downward demand for jewelry for obvious reasons. No more parties, nowhere to wear the jewelries to, nobody to show off to. People are rather concerned about their health and welfare. So the purpose of this webinar is actually to look at how the pandemic has affected the gem and jewelry business in Nigeria, and to see if there are possible opportunities that we can translate into local possibilities and opportunities, such as utilizing available roughs to make jewelry for the local market. Now that the Sri Lankans are not there to come and take our roughs, and our miners, artisanal miners are there. So we need to look at how we can develop a value chain that works for us, so that maybe between now and when the world wakes up, we would have actually reskilled ourselves and will be a market to look at. So we are lucky to have as our panelists 3 distinguished members of the Gmman involved. Christian, you're welcome. Pastor Christian is the Gmman ambassador in Southeast Asia and operates from Bangkok with over 15 years experience in the gem trade, both in Nigeria and abroad in the gemstone and mining sectors. Currently, Christian works with the Siva Endeavors Company Limited as a managing director, carrying out exhibitions in Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Thailand, and Nigeria. We are very proud of you, Pastor Christian. You are a good ambassador. So next, as panelist is my brother and my friend, Umar Abbas, who is very passionate about the mining sector in Nigeria. He is actually the coordinator of the Northwest region of Nigeria for Gmman. He's in charge of looking after the welfare of miners, dwellers in this part of Nigeria, apart from his regular business of mining and selling gemstones. He's a qualified trained gemstones dealer. Umar is also a graduate of the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geoscience. Umar has made immeasurable impact in our sector, and we are proud to have him in Gmman. And he was actually the first one to start online trading for gemstones in West Africa as far as the year 2000. Umar is the CEO of A2 Mega Resources Limited and is actively involved in mining and trading of various mining-related products. Ms. Oluseyi, my sister, is a highly distinguished member of our association, Gmman, and represents the interests of the ever-growing stable of Lagos dwellers, a group of the very best Africa can boast of. Incidentally, Abdullahi attended the same university as myself, and indeed, she also graduated from the same Department of Business Administration. Ms. Abdullahi developed an interest in crafts from an early age. Our company, Crafties, is well known in Lagos and Nigeria, and the company distributes for international brands such as Swarovski, Bidalon, the Needle Industries Private Limited, Polycom, just to mention a few. She's involved in training and skills development in the crafts and jewelry business. And we're very happy to have her as one of our panelists. She's also a producer and presenter of our own television series. Now for some housekeeping rules. Each of our distinguished panelists will speak for 10 minutes. I shall prompt them in the first instance. Please use the chat panel for asking questions. Our panelists will then have 5 minutes each to attend to your questions. We then have 10 minutes to entertain some comments from some of our participants, just for 2 minutes each. Please use the hand raising function at the bottom of your screen to indicate if you want to comment. Please do not repeat what others have said, and kindly mute your microphone if you are not speaking. The microphone is on the bottom left hand of your screen. Jumai will be doing the roundup after that, and we try to keep to time. Please enjoy the session. To start off with, maybe I'll start off with Umar, since he's a miner here. Umar, how are you faring at home? Can you give us what is happening in this sector of ours?
Yeah, Prof, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon, Umar. We are listening to you. We are all attentive.
Yeah. First of all, I must appreciate being selected as a...
Please, if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone, please. Thank you.
I appreciate being selected as one of the panelist member of this impact on COVID in the gemstone industry. First, I think mining in Nigeria is more of the artisanal mode of mining, especially in the gemstones. So with the impact of the COVID, where there are lockdowns of interstate and some states are experiencing completely lockdown, this has caused a lot of issues in terms of operating in the mines, which resulted to the shortage of the supply of gemstones. And before the pandemic, we were experiencing security issues where bandits and kidnappers have taken over the mining site across the country, which also lead to the shortage of supplies of gemstones. Now the pandemic. So I think that we are going to face a lot of challenges post or pre the COVID coming into place. So I think part of the input I would like to put here in order to see the way forward, in order to have a successful business transaction in the gemstone and jewelry industry, is to adopt the online business activity, since there is no physical movement of persons and no physical interactions. So we have to go back to the online business platform. We need to have a B2B. We need to have a B2B platform where dealers of the gems, the manufacturers, the jewelers we all come together in order to exchange ideas and places demand and make offers for sale. That way it will limit or kind of improve the business arena in the gems and jewelry industry. And we also need to create more awareness to the populace in the country. We have the market. Looking at the population of the country, we have the market. We have all the resources we need. We have very good jewelers in Nigeria. And now we have the Gemological Institute of Nigeria, where stones will be certified. Most of our elites go to Dubai, go to US, London, Hong Kong, and purchase expensive jewelries, which most of the material used are from Nigeria. You can never tell. I had similar issue with someone buying the furniture in Dubai, only to come back and discover it was made in Nigeria and taken to Dubai for resale. So if we can develop the gem and jewelry sector, especially by establishing a B2B platform, it makes it easier for parties to interact and discuss over needs and demands of raw materials needed, especially the jewelers. Most of them, I think, are in Lagos or the western part. Only I don't think I know any in the northern part here. Only few. It's very hard for them to have access, since being majority of the gemstone activities are performed here in the north. So if you have a B2B platform, wherever you are, you just to place your order or your request. This is what I'm looking for, and then company A, company B will supply you with necessary items that they have in their possession. With the relax of the interstate movement, shipment can be made, even if the pandemic stay beyond the expectation. Business will still move in the gem industry. The next thing, or the next challenges we have, is the awareness of our elite in the country to know that we are capable of making and supplying those expensive jewelries they buy outside the country. So I think the number one issue is to move online. I raise my case here, Prof.
Okay, Umar, I want to know prior to now, we have most of when you look at the gemstone track.
Hello. I lost the voice.
From the artisanal mining sector, from artisanal mining to those people who buy from them. We've had, from the northern part, we have people from China, people from Sri Lanka buying our gemstones. Are you still witnessing this? And if these people are not coming, what is happening to the miners at this particular time? Are they still mining? Are they still in the field? Or are they all at home? We want to know, what is the status of mining in your sector?
Prior to the pandemic, there are cases like that most of the mining activities are being sponsored by foreigners. That is not far away from the truth, especially the Malians, the Guineans, most of the West Africans in Nigeria. And then with the intrusion of the Chinese, also they contributed. So it affects the indigenous gemstone dealers in such a way that we, the Nigerians, we find it very hard to sponsor the artisanal and small-scale miners. But those people who have the mind to do that, and at the end of the day, the best of the gems goes to them. we are left with trash. So I think this is another issue or challenges that needed to be looked at. If we have a good a channel where there will be grants to those artisan miners, maybe from us, the dealers, or from government, or from whosoever, and then another channel where the merchandise will be sold or shared accordingly. You know, the best way I think is to formalize the artisanal miners, because in most cases they are the explorers or prospectors in the gem industry. I don't think there's any major company that have ever discovered any gem via exploration or prospecting. Most of the mines were discovered by those people or the herdsmen. While they are roaming around the bushes, they come across some samples and then try to put one or two pits. And before you know it, they got some stuff. The news spread all around and people start trooping in there to buy. That is how most of the gem supplies are in Nigeria. So if that is the case, then these people needed to be formalized in order for them to have the necessary education, the necessary information they need on how to sell their merchandise without relying on one person or the other giving them peanuts and then taking away their production for free. So that is an area that really needed to be looked at. And then
okay, thank you. Thank you, Mark. I was just looking at the news, and I understand that the Gmman Council in India is going to stop the importation. It's going to stop the importation of roughs from outside India from the 15th of May. Of course, the demand for roughs in places like China and Hong Kong has also gone down. Can Pastor Chris please tell us what is happening in the international market? How are we faring? That's the destination of Nigerian gemstones. What is happening? Pastor Chris, you have the floor. I think Pastor Chris is muted.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm glad to be speaking from this panel. So I really appreciate to be one of the speakers in this panel. Based on the points we are sharing, the impact of COVID-19 in gem industry and mining, I think a lot of things has really been happening because nobody really planned for it. It came as a surprise that the outbreak of the sickness, which started from Wuhan, China. Mostly we realized it from January, but it started early December. I think it has really created a lot of vacuum and it has caused a lot of tragedy in the mining industry. If you look at the impact, borders are closed. Airports are closed. There are lockdowns. You can, right now, the people are talking about health. They are talking about life. People are living in fear. Nobody is actually going for gemstones for now, based on my experience. I remember we started battling this since January to February. The gem fair in Tucson, America, it wasn't how it's supposed to be. Many people were complaining because people were living in fear. And when it comes to Thailand too, the gem fair issue in Thailand becomes a problem because buyers are afraid to travel to the point that the gem fair in Hong Kong was closed. So if you look at it round, you'll find out that the gemstone business is really suffering at this very point, that the buyers are not able to come in. And most of us who are marketing, I'm also a miner, but mostly I started from marketing, but most of us in abroad that are marketing the stones, I just want to let you understand that all the stones we purchase from Africa, they are still with us. Nobody is coming in. Nobody is even asking you, how much are you going to sell? Because people are living in fear of tomorrow. They don't know when the pandemic is going to end. So as a result of that, we find it difficult to cope at this very point. Yes, but when we talk about what to do next, the solution on what to do, I overheard my colleague Abbas. He made a very nice point to create a very big awareness in Nigeria. That's why I really appreciate the work Gmman is doing. Gmman is doing a great job by creating awareness, by getting most of the hidden jewelers, which nobody hears their name. Everybody talent is now coming out. Gmman is creating awareness in order to make sure that the industry is moving forward. I think we have a very big market in Nigeria, because if we depend on foreigners to be buying our goods, mostly at this very point, you find out that the foreigners cannot come because there's no flight for them to come based on the lockdown and based on the border closure. So there is no how the gemstone marketers or the miners could dispose their goods. Yes, my colleague said, well, online. Yes, you can still sell online, but you still need to transport those goods. You still need to take those goods to other countries that needed it. So my own idea is, if more awareness will be created in Nigeria, most of the goods that are being mined out, it can be belged. What do I mean? Either through Gmman or through government agent or through mining association, most of the goods that artisanal miners are mining can be bought over, and instead of giving it out for peanut to those who will want to use this opportunity to differentiate the people, the association can buy it at their own price and create ways on how to market the goods when the market pick up. That's really some of the points I will want to make, to do a kind of belling it out, to leverage it. Thank you, Prof.
Please, I'm going to unmute Mrs. If Tinuka is there, kindly unmute Mrs. Abdullahi. Chris just raised very important points, that right now the gemstones available are not being bought. So we have quite a large stock of gemstones from our gemstones traders. Nobody's buying now, but it's not peculiar to Nigeria, it's peculiar to other countries as well.
Yeah, globally.
Is Mrs. Abdullahi on?
Yes, I'm here, right here.
How are you, madam?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you.
Actually, I wanted you to speak last so that you will get the focus of our thoughts.
Oh, yes, it's good.
Focus of our thoughts, in the sense that now is an opportunity for us to work with people in the field, the miners especially, now that they have stock, and some of them are still mining. Most of them will be mining because they feel that they will still need to sell something at the end of the day. But now we have a lot of stock out there that nobody is taking from us. So this is an opportunity for the jewelry sector Don't you think so, madam? What is actually the
Definitely.
state of the jewelry sector as we speak, knowing fully well that all the Lagos weddings are not taking place?
Actually,
Going
I
forward
agree.
into the future, what do you think we can do with this opportunity? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciated, listening to Dr. Chris and Mr. Abbas, of course, and you with the opening remarks. I see wonderful opportunities ahead of us. Not short term, of course. Short term, everything looks so bleak because there's hardly anything going on. But for me, I feel the excitement. The excitement, in having people here learn. A lot of education has to take place. We have quite a number of people now who are training here. Very, very good. They're very good. The days of the traditional goldsmith, whereby it's handed over from one family member to the other, those days are gone. So we have people now who are able to train without any strings attached. And with the training, of course, I'm also hoping that GIN will be there to help with education about gemstones because people need to know. And as for looking at the future, I think we have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The market in Nigeria is huge. And even those who don't have the usual, Lagos Owambe parties, they also do wear jewelry. And what I feel is that the appreciation for gemstones is something that can grow. We haven't really had it. That's one of the problems. We haven't really had it. You find many people who were into gold jewelry. They could go to Dubai or go to Italy and buy the jewelry there. And then, of course, we had gemstones coming in with some of the gold jewelry. But many Nigerians are not aware. I think that awareness has to be generated, not just for those who are going to wear the jewelry, but even for those who are going to make them into jewelry. Well, my own main joy is finding out that there are people who are more people now are able to learn, and more people are willing to teach. And of course, we have, machines coming in, even though I believe that there will be a need for us to have studios where people can go when they have learned to go and actually maybe pay for some hourly, pay an hourly rate and get work done, because not everyone is going to be able to afford, all those machines to actually make the jewelry. And as it happens in other parts of the world, there are those studios. The jeweler just goes, pays, and then they use the machines and they can sell the products. I think things like that will definitely help us in the future. And the fact that, all these gems that are being, the gemstones, they still have to be cut. Do we actually have enough people to cut them? When you see a rough and when you see the finished product, it's utterly amazing. I recall seeing some of the products, some of the gems that were brought for the Craftfest Jewelry Show, and the ones I saw in Abuja when we came. I mean, this is amazing stuff from our own country. If indeed our population is about 200 million, I mean, not everybody is going to wear gemstone jewelry, but I assure you that beauty is still going to have something to do with our future. COVID-19 will pass, and I'm not saying that things are going to go back to the way they were, they are not, but then there are opportunities for us in Nigeria. It's like somebody has pressed the reset button, and we now have a chance to benefit from what our own soil has, to benefit from the work of our own people, to have talents develop and excel. So that way, I see a brighter future, for the gemstone industry. Well, I'm not much into, I don't know much about mining. I know a few things about some gemstones, and I know that gradually we also had plastic things, becoming more popular. I mean, well, becoming popular, not necessarily more, but people were satisfied with, almost just anything if it was plastic. But then we realized that these gemstones are things that can be handed over from one generation to another. And gradually, maybe people who might have bought about 20 sets of something may end up just having 2, but those 2 will be beautiful, they'll be well formed. And I think that the sense of value is also something that's going to improve, as we go along. So I see opportunity. I mean, that's looking on, of course, on the long run. On the short term, of course, I know that things are really, really looking bleak. We're going to leave it to what the association can do with government, how we can actually regulate the mining industry so that the wealth of Nigeria is not being given away for nothing, more or less for nothing, whereby those gems which are formed in the earth for millions, thousands of millions of years would not then, end up as, not benefiting our own people, seeing as they're from our own soil. So for the jewelers in Lagos, I think there's a lot to do. There are more people training now, thankfully, and there are more people willing to learn. So I see more work in the future for people. I see people able to earn, income from from making jewelry and other items. Not only jewelry, there'll be different works of art that can be done, things that people will be able to appreciate. Even if they have to save up for them, they'll be able to do those. So I just see, immense opportunities. Like we can now go back to maybe where we took off just importing everything we could inside to actually looking at what we have and being able to, make something out of those. So that's actually the way the aspect I'd like to focus on. That there's a lot of work to be done and we have the population. With the population, if there's no international travel, we can use those things here ourselves. And so it's going to be a win-win situation for us in terms of our development. Okay, you have to unmute Prof because I can't hear him.
Thank you, Mrs. Abdullahi. That was quite very useful. You've given us some insights. I'm sure by the time Juma is going to speak, she'll be telling you about what we are trying to do. You spoke about having the gem centers where we have the tools, gem and jewelry centers. We've actually been thinking of that, and that's the most important reason why we have all the coordinators. We intend to be working with the World Bank, and you will be hearing more of this. And they are quite interested, and especially in jewelry making, in skills development. You will all be involved at one form or the other as Gmman. So please stay tuned to hear more about this. Now for our participants who may want to ask a panelist questions, is there anybody in the house who would like to have a chat with the panelists? I'm trying to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, Prof.
Yes, please, can you introduce yourself?
So, my name is Rex Uchendubisinwankwo. I'm a Gmman's member.
Okay, you're welcome.
My question is about this illegal Chinese and foreign miners. How do we get hold of them and recover our lot from them? Because they are scattered in southwest, southeast, even Zamfara, Katsina. They come and steal our property and go and make sales without even paying any tax or any sort of is it a license or whatever. So how do we get at them and prosecute them so that it will serve as a deterrent to others? Then my second issue is how do we get hold of all these artisans, articulate them, maybe organize something like incubation center for all of them so that their activities will be legalized and formalized in such a way that they'll be trained and empowered so that even their products, they know how to polish their product and make it to be attractive internationally and globally.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there any other contribution before the panelists will answer the questions? Any other person? If not, Chris, will you like to attend to that? Can we have your suggestions on that, Chris? Chris, will you like to attend to that question?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Thank you once again. Like the question he has asked, how do we do with these people that are scattered, cutting away with our materials, making it difficult for it to benefit the indigents, coming to the country illegally, influencing the people with little tokens? I think it is possible because it is time for Nigerians to love Nigerians. If Nigerians can love Nigerians, I think we can all serve as a security agent in order to get these people arrested. There should be a protocol. Yes, we don't want to consume the product alone. We still want to sell to the international community, but to a certain level, there must be a center where you will stop. You don't need to go to the mining site. You don't need to influence the villagers. You don't need to, when they release you from the prison, maybe you're still serving in the prison, they will just release you and throw you to Africa so that you can go to any kind of bush and then exploit Africa. I think it's high time. Thank you once again for Gmman. I think it's high time that there must be a stop trying to create a center where every foreigner will operate within. Lagos is there, Abuja is there, but not going to our mining site, not even having the license to go to the mining site. Because in most countries as a foreigner, okay, China, for instance, of course, you cannot go to mining site of China. In Thailand, where I base, you cannot go to their mining site. You can't even buy land. You can't even buy a house. Talk about going to their mining site. I think it is high time that there should be a procedure on how to protect what we have, so that the indigenes will also benefit from it by creating a way where these Chinese will no longer go to the villages. The Sri Lankas, the Indians, they should stop at the center, which should be either in Abuja or in Lagos. Like personally, when I go to Ethiopia, I stop in Addis Ababa. When I go to, there are areas you cannot cross. When I go to Rwanda, you don't go to their mines. There are where you stop, and you must have your license to buy. And that license will not be issued to you directly. Sometimes it is issued to a citizen of that country, and then you buy through that license. They benefit from the resources that is from their land. So that's what I want to say, that the association should step up more by also speaking to the government the need of the indigenes benefiting from their own product, instead of this Chinese scattered in the mining site, controlling the site. Sometimes I was talking to someone today. He said one day an Indian man told him, if you talk hard, I will call police commissioner for you. So most of the time they come to that country, they intimidate the citizens of the country because of their little token. So it is high time. We have educated men in Nigeria. We have people who knows what in Nigeria. I think it is high time we step up and this mess will stop. That's the area I want to talk about, the Chinese and the Indians.
I think it's also very important to add to what Dr. Chris just said, that we need to do more in terms of advocacy as an association. That's all the stakeholders must come together. But where do we start from? We start from policy, and then we look at the laws. For instance, in Nigeria, the Nigerian laws are so lax when it comes to foreign investments, where foreigners are allowed to own 100%. The NIPC Act allows foreigners to own 100% of anything in Nigeria. So there are no restrictions. So we need to go back to that. We need to look at the Mining Act to see how ownership is determined. We need to look at that. Without looking at that, anybody can just come in with just a suitcase or a briefcase and take ownership just by registering a company in Nigeria with 20,000 naira. So we need to seriously look at that. Quite a number of people are really, really disturbed about this. I can see Labi Kapo from South Africa. How are you, Labi? We're proud to have you here. We're very happy to have you. I wonder if Labi would like to say something. Labi, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm fine. Good afternoon, Professor. I have joined the conversation late, but I like the idea of what I just heard about how you stop others from coming in and getting access to our mines. That is the number one. I don't know how long it would take to change the law, but I'm really impressed that that's the direction we should be going.
Yeah. Thank you, Labi. It's nice having you.
Yes, sir.
Do we have anybody who wants to say something? Okay. Okay, a few things, a few housekeeping stuff that we're going to take note of all these discussions, and we are going to come up with a paper later on, which we intend to send to the Ministry of Mines. They are already aware of what we are doing, and we are happy that we are working very hard with them to ensure that we have a better sector, especially for the benefit of all of us here. So let me use this opportunity to unmute Madam Jumai. Apparently, I think yesterday was her birthday, or was it the day before yesterday?
Days ago. Maybe
You might want to say hello as well.
Okay, can you unmute Jumai, please? Okay, Jumai, you have the floor.
Okay, can you all hear me well?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So we want to say thank you very much to Prof. Prof, thank you for organizing this meeting. I also want to say thank you to the panelists, Mrs. Abdullahi, Pastor Chris, and Laji Umar Abbas.
I think we've lost Jumai. Can somebody unmute Jumai, please?
I'm unmuted.
Okay, good. Now we have you.
Okay. So I was saying thank you to the panelists for giving their time to come online and speak to us, to Mrs. Abdullahi, to Pastor Chris, Gmman Thailand rep, to Alajuma Abbas, who is one of our zonal coordinators. Thank you very much. I'll just quickly summarize what they said. Supply of gemstones is very low because of closed borders and bandits, even before COVID-19. But COVID-19 closed borders, so supply of gemstones are quite low right now. Alajuma said, let's establish a B2B, which is a very, very good idea. Pastor Chris made a very important statement, which is more awareness must be created in Nigeria for Nigerians. Indigenes should benefit more from the products being produced at the mines instead of foreigners. Mrs. Abdullahi said training, which is key. I'm sure Prof is very happy about that. Prof loves to train. More dwellers are teaching, more of them are training, and she sees a lot of opportunities. Prof also mentioned that the laws are lax, allowing a lot of investors to come in easily. So, Gmman is trying to do a lot of work in basically promoting basically different policies and a lot of awareness really. So like Prof had mentioned that we're working with the World Bank in creating gem and jewelry centers. Also the World Bank is also trying to create jewelry skills institute where skills can be developed and people can train, not just educated people, but even people you see that are not, very educated can also learn how to make jewelry. And I think that once you have a real galvanization of a lot of jewelers in the market, that automatically creates demand for not just the gemstones, but also the precious metals, which you also have quite a bit of in Nigeria. As Prof has mentioned, we're going to start developing policy papers that will be given to the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development that would actually help in bringing this awareness as well, and creating a lot of awareness in the industry. I think Nigerians buy a lot of jewelry from around the world, jewelry with gemstones. They buy a lot, and it only makes sense for us to be making as much in Nigeria. So I don't know, I think I've covered everything.
Yes, thank you, Jumai. I thought you were also going to talk about our programs in terms of we'll be meeting more frequently. Now we have this platform.
Definitely.
Most likely this year's AGM will be done online. We're not yet sure where it's going to be, but we hope things will get better. The AGIS is supposed to take place in Lagos this year. So if it does take place, and we pray that things will be settled by that time, the AGM will be taking place in Lagos as well. So I think Juma is going to say thank you to everybody. Panelist, Dr. Chris. Please, I hope you are safe where you are, Dr. Chris. You're probably in Hong Kong right now. And I'm going to unmute everybody so that we can all say bye-bye to each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Bye. I think Akindele is online as well from the US. That was an awesome presentation you did. Akindele, nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We hope to also have we see the schedule of our webinars will be coming up soon. Please, for any Gmman member who would like to use this opportunity or make presentations, get in touch with my or myself, or we can schedule a webinar session and market it as well. Please, everybody, stay safe. I'd like to see you again. And regard to your family. So as a person, you will all get. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Okay, that we're done now.
Yes, we're done now.
Thank you. Yeah.